Okay, so because we have a kind of a confined area here, we had to get to the center. We want this centered on this wall, okay? So what we did, we measured this. This was 65. And we took 32.5 from here over. And we put a mark, okay? Then we double checked 32.5. Sure enough, there was a mark. After we lift it up, then we can measure from left to right of the wall. Split the difference, put a mark on the center of that wall, just above this mark, let's say, okay? Then we know we're lined up, right? And then we can measure off of the wall, because he measured off, and it just so happens from the edge of the wall to the center of the first stud is 16 inches, then 32, then 48, okay? And so we know from the edge of the wall over to the center of the first stud is 16 inches. Now your measurements are going to be different. So it's not going to be over from here 16 inches. It's going to be whatever gap we have left once we center that. Does that make sense? So, you know, just make sure it's plumb, which means level vertically. And we're now going to lift it up.
I don't know what that's for.
And it's going to take 2 people. And they said, I'm like, what's this for? And he says, oh, it's a foot stand. We'll know what that is after this gets lifted up. Okay? And mostly important is our notches. We got to make sure that those fit. And after we made the notch, we could have taken this whole side piece, stood it up, make sure it's not going to hit. And we're pretty sure that that it's not going to hit. But you know what we did? We made that notch just enough to allow for the baseboard. I don't know if we allowed enough for the electrical outlet. We might have to make that notch taller.
Right.
You know? Or no, we pull that out. That notch doesn't go all the way. That's fine, because that cord's gonna be above, I think.
The baseboard is only ½ inch. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what your depth is on that. It's more than
It was more than a ½ an inch on that notch.
We'll be fine.
So the notch, it should swing over between the base and the wall. Okay. So yes, this needs 2 people.
True. Right.
And when you lift this, you just have to make sure you got enough room to get up against the wall. You don't want to start lifting this and have it gouge your wall or anything like that.
Gotta get that carpet out of there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Well, the carpet moves when you bring this forward.
Yeah.
So I'll go back and push.
yeah.
So
So
you guys
you know, take your time,
just have to
think
have
about
a-
what you're doing
Yes.
before you do it. Aight? Look at that. That's going to be the Murphy bed. It looks like a cabinet. See, there's some doors down here, some drawer pull-outs, but that's all for show. That's all for looks. And I guess when you fold it down, this is to set down on the ground?
No,
No?
the legs sit down on the ground. Those things that.
Oh, okay. So then that's just barely off the floor.
Right.
Okay. We'll see when it gets installed. Now see, we put it up, and hopefully your floor is flat and level with your wood. If you have a wood finished floor, tile floor, linoleum floor, whatever. If it's slightly off, obviously
You want the drill?
you may not be able to have that plumb. You may have to shim one side up. This is the time to shim it up if you have to.
Got it?
But this floor was pretty much flat and level. These walls were pretty much vertical, plumb. And so he's measuring off, remember? We've got the gap the same, and he's measured off this wall, 16 inches, 30, 32, 48, and so forth. And we've got 4 screws. You could probably install this with 3 screws or whatever. The important thing is when you're installing this with the screws that you use the long screws. Don't use like 2-inch screws where it's barely grabbing the stud by maybe a ½ an inch or something. We've got some nice long, these are probably 3-inch coarse threaded screws, and those came with the cabinet, with the whole unit. and he's had to drill some holes through there. Make sure we're gonna lift up the middle.
Yep.
After we jockeyed this into place, you wanna make sure your vertical lines on your gaps are about the same all the way around. And we noticed that nice gap over here and here, but the middle, it was just slightly smaller. And that's because this top piece kind of slightly bows. So
Flat edge screwdriver, Tom?
we're gonna get a little screwdriver and just push it in there as a wedge to line this line up so it looks nice and straight, see? Like he's just, okay, what does it look like, Tom? He'll put it in, oh, that looks, how's that look?
There.
It's a
wanna
little
see
high,
it?
but it's okay.
It's
It may
slightly,
come down when I screw it, so.
it's
Okay.
slightly high.
We're gonna try our first screw now, kids.
Good. What I was saying is when you're finding the studs, it's important to try to, when you're marking them, to make sure you're fairly close to the middle of a stud. If you're just barely off and that screw is just barely hitting a stud, that stud could
Obviously.
that stud could split off inside where the drywall is.
That's it.
Now he's not stripping the head of the screw. That's an impact
No.
drill, okay? And that's the kind you want. You want to take that screwdriver out. Let's see how that gap is before you put that next screw in there, Eric. Take that screwdriver out. Let's see. Yeah, see it's low.
Still better.
I don't know. It's still dropped. But I don't know if you can.
Yeah, I don't think it lifts the back up, it just lifts the front.
Yeah, it's just lifting the front.
But I'll leave it in there until I get the other.
Yeah, okay. See that gap right there, because it's so long, it's just slightly dipped down the entire thing from left to right. See that gap? You want that gap pretty straight, but when you took that. You got to push on it to get that in.
I can get a bigger drill.
Well, the drill didn't go in that far to begin with, so.
But if you don't have an impact battery operated drill, you need to get one. It's really super nice. If you had just a regular one, you're not going to push those screws in. You'd have to pre-drill your holes a little bit more. They've just got one small drill bit, and then we're trying to drive the entire screw all the way in there, you know. But this is going to be your next step after you line it up, okay? It's looking pretty good so far.
Let me get a bar of soap.
Oh, that was funny. Right after I turned the video camera off, I heard Tom say, "You want me to get a bar of soap?" And I thought he was joking for a second, and I remember what he told me. He told me about a bar of soap.
Yep.
They're putting that long screw, a portion of that long screw has to go into the 2x6 in there. And that 2x6, even though it's only less than a year old, right?
Very much so.
Yeah, that it's hard to get that in. So instead of trying to find the right drill bit and all that kind of stuff, he's going to take his screw, and look at that. He's just going to take a bar of soap, and you put a little bit of that soap right on the screw, and they swear by this, that this is going to work. Tom told me this before, and I didn't have
Got
any
it on there?
soap when I did something else. We're gonna try that.
Yeah, put some water.
Here, Tom.
What, you gonna put what on it?
Water.
Water?
It needs to be wet, because right now it's dry and all it's doing is,
Oh, okay. So you put a little bit of water on that, and it acts like grease. It acts like grease right on the screw.
the other two as well while you're at it.
They've done this before. They've been around. These guys have been around, and they know some of the tricks that I didn't even know about. They swear by this. We're gonna see how well it's gonna work. He thinks it's gonna go in a lot easier. We'll see.
tough one.
Well, not all the way, but it went in further.
Went in a little further, but not all the way.
You might have to get your taller ladder.
I think I'm going to, because I
See,
don't have enough leverage.
he doesn't have enough leverage. You get enough leverage up there, and you really put your shoulder into it. I'll bet you he can push that right in with the soap on that screw. Okay, and
One, two. Got one in all the way.
yeah. Oh, okay. He's put one in, and like I say, the ratcheted drill. That's not the head of the drill bit spinning on the head of the screw. That's just a ratcheted. And those are a really good type of drill to get when you need a new battery operated drill. If you don't have one like that, get one. They're nice. You can use it as a standard one. The only thing I found with that, lots of times if you put a bigger drill bit in there, like a paddle bit, sometimes you can't drill your hole because it chatters with that on there. And I found that to be true on actually the one I had. It wouldn't work. I had a flexi bit, and I was trying to drill a hole with a 3/4 inch twist drill bit, and it wouldn't drill because I had it on a ratcheted type drill. You see what I mean? So I had to use my other one for that, and then it worked and all that. Here he's pulling out his step ladder, the 5-step ladder. I'd never seen one of these as tall as this. And I think he can get up there with that, and he'll have way more torque
That should help.
to get that, hopefully to get that screw in there.
Boy, it's just not going in.
You might have to
Mine made a longer drill bit.
That's what I said.
All right.
a bigger drill.
Not so much a bigger drill, a longer.
Yeah. Okay. Well, but I see the point. If you're having a little issue with one particular screw, and you put a little bit of soap on there, it might work. And he could be hitting a knot in the actual 2x6 because he's already got one screw in there that went in all the way. So we'll see with this one here. If he can get this next one.
That one went in.
That one went in, good. So yeah, you're probably hitting a knot, is my guess.
I'm going to pull this one since I didn't get it in all the way.
Okay, all right.
I've got another one that has soap on it. I'm going to try it.
He's gonna try a screw in that other hole with the soap trick. Here he goes.
That's 3 in.
Okay, so that one went.
Yep.
So it's just the one screw.
I just got one that hasn't gone in.
Yeah, so they're going to take that out and then just take a drill bit a little bit smaller than what the screw is and put that in first, you know, and then try that screw again, and he'll get it. Now they're installing that trim piece. Okay.
Cool, dude.
And read your directions. Make sure you put the trim on in the right direction. And they even gave a starting hole for it and all that kind of stuff. And they're going to line that up where it goes and all that.
That's good.
There. Look at that. That was just attached with 2 screws, that whole thing. And it had pre-finished sides to it too, in case you have in case it goes on a long wall, let's say.
Oh, they're so
Very
careful.
good.
They're awful, man.
We're almost ready for the unveiling.
Almost.
Almost.